It was my first year coaching, and on this particular day, the rent was due. I didn't have it. And I was due that night. And I had funds on the way. They just hadn't dropped in my account yet, and I think I needed to wait another day or two for that to happen. It's Cash App. Okay, not a sort of life or death situation, but an interesting one. Because I had this moment with myself where I say, do you just do the safe thing? Transfer the funds now, pay the fee, you'll have enough for the rent, and then some? Or do you trust that you can earn the money some other way in the next 10 hours, right? I have a coaching service, I have a digital product. Can you make a sale or more than one to cover the amount you need for the rent and let the Cash App do what it does and go through in the full amount either by tomorrow or the day after? Initially, I'm like, yeah, trust. You have faith. Not even 2 hours later, I'm already like, man, just transfer the funds, pay the fee, you'll have enough for the rent and then some, and it'll be off your mind. So that's what I do. I pay the fee, transfer the funds, pay the landlord. Cool. Whew, off my chest. Then I go to visit my brother. I haven't seen him in a long time, and he's now living in my old house. I get there, we're catching up. He says, by the way, there's a stack of mail for you right there. I say, okay. Go through the mail, filtering out what matters, what doesn't matter, and suddenly I encounter this piece of mail that looks odd. And I forget exactly what it said on it, but I can tell it was for me, it was time sensitive, and it was important. So I open it. Guess what it is? It's a check with just enough money to cover my rent. Several years prior, I had signed up for what I believe was a fraudulent medical insurance company. People who position themselves like they were medical insurance, but they actually weren't. And a lawsuit was filed against them. And anybody who had paid them from this time to that time was to receive compensation. I was one of those people. So immediately I have this moment where I'm like, no fucking way. I briefly tell my brother about it. I'm like, you're not gonna believe this shit. And then I leave. And before I officially get off of my old block, I'm in the car and I look up and I'm like, I see what you did. Noted. I chose safety over trust, fear over faith. And you might say that the way I acted wasn't irrational, but you have to understand, when you are putting sincere effort toward a worthy goal, you're intentional. The only other thing you need is trust. Faith that it's all taken care of. Not blind faith. Not, I don't do anything for myself. I half-ass everything, but I just trust that the universe is going to take care of me. No. You're really like that. She's snoring, pardon me. Little cutie butt. But anyway, it was one of those profound moments, too good, too timely to be random, that you would be mistaken not to take heed of. Oh, and trust me, I did. Another example, now this is years before that. I was actively involved with a few entrepreneurs and business owners, and I served essentially as an angel consultant for them. I would help them with brand strategy, and I would just brainstorm with them and just do a shit ton of different kind of work to help their business get off the ground. Eventually it hit me that a couple of these partnerships just weren't working and they weren't going to work. We just weren't compatible. When you have two different sets of values and principles and habits, a conversation can't fix that. It's one of those things where there are foundational issues, so no big deal. I recognized it, and I remember having a moment, and I'm writing about it, and I'm like, God damn, I identified there's a problem here. So now I have one of two options. Nip it in the bud, or rationalize why I'm going to continue working with and through something that has proven to me it can't work. In other words, I would be actively choosing to prolong my and their ascension by rationalizing staying with something that clearly isn't compatible. So I have a couple of difficult conversations. Not even 30 days later, I start going viral and I start getting paid, essentially, for being myself. At this point, I already devised a coaching service, and I had just entered the Creator Rewards program on TikTok, so I saw my first however many $1,000 in a matter of only after I was willing to let go of a connection I knew wasn't in alignment, or a set of connections I knew weren't in alignment. You might say that sounds like simple cause and effect. Same difference. You will be rewarded for trusting what you know and acting on that basis. You will be rewarded for having faith instead of fear, for trusting the bold move, especially when you know it's backed by intentional, inspired, consistent action, versus succumbing to the so-called safe thing. Safe is often synonymous with stagnation.